If you're not sure of how to begin your renovation, go to Home Trust. Home Trust is Singapore's leading renovation platform that matches homeowners with trusted interior designers. On the main page, simply click the Get Recommendations feature and answer a few simple questions to get matched with reputable IDs. From there, you can check out their portfolios and take a look at their reviews. Did you know that Home Trust do not delete negative reviews? This is where Home Trust stands out, by providing the promise of trust and transparency to homeowners like ourselves. If you want to know more, make sure you visit their website at hometrust.sg. In the previous video, we spoke about how to read your electrical diagram, how to plan your electricals, important things to note, and even shared a sample quotation so that you can compare with your electrician's charges. If you haven't done so, make sure to check out that video first. In this video, we will talk about what happens during the actual day of electrical works, what to take note of, and also share the cheapest places to buy your sockets and switches.
So after you are done with your electrical planning, it's good to print out one diagram to paste it over here so that on site there is as little room for miscommunication as possible. Additionally, what you can also do is to mark out physically where all the sockets, the lighting points and the switches are. Let me show you some examples. So you can see from the top right, this is where we are going to have our downlight installed. So we mark out a cross over here so that the electrician knows exactly which point to install the lighting. Okay? Over here, we also have another cross mark out, the lighting point installed. Okay? Now let's take a look at the sockets. So here in the under the window latch itself is going to be a 2-gang socket. This is where we will install our motorized curtain track. So we have marked out a point and label it as a 2-gang socket. So we are standing here in the kitchen, and on top you can see that there is a fan point marked over here. There's 2 lighting points marked over here. Okay, you can see the cross over here. And also you can start to plan your socket positioning. As you can see, from a single socket, we're going to change this into 2-gang socket and 2-gang socket over here. Okay, same for the service yard where there's a high number of sockets. Okay, there's going to be 2 times 2-gang sockets over here and on the other side as well. And this is how you can ensure that there's as little miscommunication with your electrician as possible, and it all comes back to your electrical planning. Also, I highly recommend that you go down on site during the actual day of electrical works. If you decide to go down, here are some of the items that you need to bring. Firstly, we have our earplugs. Okay, this can be your aeroplane earplugs. Now, ear protection is important because there will be a lot of drilling and cutting into the concrete to do the concealed wiring. So you need to protect your ears. Secondly, you will need a mask. During electrical works, it is extremely dusty and there will be a lot of hot dust particles in the air. So bring a few. And lastly, you will need some eye protection to prevent the dust particles from entering your eyes. And if you are a bit more kiasu like myself, right, you can bring something like this, a full face protection. Okay? And when you have all 3 items combined, you'll end up looking something like this. I know it looks a bit ridiculous, but you'll be thankful that you brought all these items along.
So this is why it is so important to come down on site during the actual day of electrical works. You see over here, right? I have already written this is a 2-gang socket to be laid loose. And then there will be a partition wall flushing this wall straight. And then this socket will be on top of the partition wall. But yet, right, the electrician go and cut into the wall over here and assume that there will be a 2-gang socket into the wall concealed this way. It was only when I saw this that I quickly go and stop the electrician, because he'll just be wasting his energy to do this. So this is why it is so important for you to be on site to tell the electrician what is correct and what is not. So here's another example. We are here at the service yard itself. So over here, this is all done correctly. We are going to have two gang sockets concealed into the wall over here. But however, if you look at the area inside the pipe, right, what I wrote here was a 2-gang socket. Okay, but the electrician mistakenly went to assume that this is concealed and went ahead to cut this hole over here. So if we do that, right, if this electrical socket is going to be concealed, right, there's no way for your concealed wiring to run. Is it going to come from here? Or is it going to come from up here? Because all this space, right, there's no way for you to reach your hand inside to cut open the wall to do the concealed wiring. And therefore, this socket has to be exposed. And then the wire trunking can run this way, exposed trunking as well. Okay, so the moment I saw he cut a hole into this wall, I knew that something was wrong. So I went ahead to stop the electrician. And that is why it's so important for you to be on site during the actual day of work.
A few moments later.
So after the first trip is done, you can go ahead to the shop to purchase all your lightings and all your switches and sockets. So eventually, after your carpentry is done, your flooring and painting is done, the electrician will come back on a second trip to help you install all these items that you have purchased. They will be installing these items on the wiring points that they have created on the first trip of electrical works. So now in this section, let me talk about where to buy your switches and sockets. So over here, I have prepared some of the most common sockets that you will want to buy. So firstly, this is Le Grand Gallion. This is very nice. It's a flat looking design and it sounds a bit like this. Secondly, what we have here is the Le Grand Malia. Okay, it's very similar to Le Grand. Let me put it side by side. It's just that when you have Le Grand Malia, it is a little bit rounder on the edges. Okay, this is flat. And lastly, what we have here is the Schneider Avataran socket. Okay, so the only difference here is that the buttons are bigger. In terms of the build quality and feel, right, I find that all three sockets are around the same. Not much difference. It's just a matter of preference whether you like the flat surfaces or you like the big buttons. Okay, this is a bit easier to press, that's all. So, the cheapest place to buy Le Grand sockets and switches is in this place called Chu Chiang. They are actually an electrical wholesale supplier. They have retail stores all over Singapore. And so a colored socket, a black colored socket like this, will cost about $10 for a 2-gang socket. If you go for white color, it can be even cheaper, maybe about $8 or so. Now, if you were to buy this on Shopee, it may cost around $14 to $15. So just take note. Now, the cheapest place to buy Schneider switches and sockets is actually not Chu Chiang. It is in a shop near COBY called DIY Renovation. At the time of this video, they are having a 33% discount promotion. I'm not sure how long the discount will last. A colored double gang socket like this costs about $14+. If you were to buy this on Shopee, I remember it is around $17. If you were to go down to a retail store like DIY Home Fix, it will cost maybe about $20+ or $19 or so. And again, white sockets are cheaper than colored sockets like this.
Now I managed to capture some footage of the shop itself. They actually sell a lot more items apart from sockets and switches, so you can check them out. Over here, that's where we have the 34% discount that is time limited, so you may want to pause the video here.
And so here are some closing thoughts as I make this video. I see electrical planning as the most challenging portion of the entire home renovation process. Even more difficult than planning for carpentry, planning for the flooring, and planning for the plumbing works, and so on and so forth. This is because it requires you to begin the electrical planning with the end in mind. It directly impacts the way you live and your day-to-day activities. And because of that, you have to already know where you want to position your furniture, the height of your bedside table, the height of your dining table, before you start to position the sockets like this. Even for myself, I took more than 6 months to plan my own electricals. And even after I have collected the key, there were still some changes and edits after I take a look at the actual house itself. But nevertheless, I hope you find this video helpful and hope that it has made your electrical planning experience a little bit simpler. And so, all the best in your electrical planning. In the next video, we'll talk about all you need to know about aircon. So bye!